I would like to call the Parks and Environmental Committee to order. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Alderman Vaccaro,
Present.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Martin, Alderwoman Navarro,
Here.
Alderman Todd,
Here.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Here.
Alderwoman Peel.
Good morning, here.
Good morning. Chairwoman Boyd.
Here. And I see our moms are on mommy duty, getting babies to the daycares, camps, all the good things. I remember those days. Okay, so we're going to,
We have
gonna-
a quorum, I believe. We have one.
do we? Okay, so
three, four,
could
five, six.
we have the reading of the, could it get approval of the minutes?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of Wednesday, June the 30th meeting.
Second.
Could we call the roll, please?
Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Martin, Alderwoman Navarro,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Peel,
Aye.
Chairwoman Boyd.
Aye.
6 aye votes.
All right, thank you. Whew. Okay, so next on the agenda, we have been inviting people to come to our parks meeting. In the first time, we kind of educated the new Alder people on processes, how to request funding for your parks. And then out of that, we got suggestions to do a tour of parks in the city. And we know we can't do all 110. And so I'm just asking each committee member to give us a park that you think we should tour, and you can kind of walk us through issues or compliments or what you think for your park that you would like to see done. And then the other part that we have been focusing on has been environmental. And so we invited Maurice Move to, and I'm probably pronouncing his last name wrong. We invited him, Dr. Eccles, and Brandy Brightfield to talk in regards to the environmental piece and how it's impacting our communities and our health wise. And so we have issues of the dumping. We have some issues where we had a meeting yesterday. I had it with 4 blocks in the ward. One block has open raw sewage going into a LRA lot from a home. And so with all the dumping that's in the alleys, I feel very strong that that's having an impact on our numbers in regards to asthma, COVID, and cancer. And so it's causing our communities to lose people unnecessarily because, one, they don't have the access or the dollars to make themselves healthy. And then 2, we as a city aren't doing a very good job in regards to protecting our residents. And so I'm gonna let Randy speak first. Randy Brightfield, and he's trying to get on now. And he has a pretty background. So that's a pretty background, Randy. So I'm gonna let Randy Brightfield kind of speak to us in regards to the dumping and how much dumping they deal with on an average basis, how it's impacting their staff, and how, and I do know, because Greg Hayes and I had a conversation and he brought to my attention and I forgot about it. The previous administration had made some changes and they took all of that bulk dumping and stuff from out of refuge and put it into streets. And so I don't know if the new Alder people are aware of that it's not Randy that's the person, it's the street. They have a debris team that does the heavy lifting and has the trucks and stuff, and equipment to clear those lots of all that dumping and debris. So I'm gonna let Randy speak on it, and you can ask him questions and we can take it from there. And after Randy gets through and we do a question and answer session, then we can have Maurice come to kind of talk how it's impacting our city in regards and why we're so adamant about producing a bill to address environmental issues within our city and how it affects our communities health-wise. So Randy, would you start, please?
Yes, good morning, everybody. Yeah, basically, like the older woman said, is a few years ago, they moved district debris over to street department. Will Young runs that operation. Basically, the way it works with us, we'll go out and inspect alleys if it's large items that, bulky items that we can handle. My crews usually get that, but any large piles, debris, any kind of handwork, we pretty much refer all that to the street department because they got the big equipment. That's pretty much how it works. I mean, we take care of, everything that's outside the dumpsters. If it's on vacant lots, if it's on LRA property, we pretty much get it all. Majority of the work though is through the street department. They do all the heavy lifting.
So Randy, my question, from your perspective, has it impacted the staffing in regards to the debris? I mean, are they short staffed? Do they need more staff? How is it impacting them? Because I know that was something that was created through the last administration. And I'm just trying to find out how is it impacting, to your knowledge, how it's impacting them because of the dumping, the excessive dumping that's throughout the city. And so people need to understand it's just not in the North Quarter where the dumping is, it's citywide. And so I do know South City is being hit hard with the dumping, and part of the Central Corridor is starting to see an increase in dumping. So is it where, you all are struggling because of the excessive dumping, or is it something that we need to know to kind of address it to help you all out or help the street department out?
I really can't speak for Will's operation. I'm not sure. I'm sure he's in the same boat we are. We have roughly 10 routes every day to run as far as bulk, and we never have 10 crews. We're always short. So, like this past weekend, I had my bulk crews work just to try to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible. I mean, you go into Ward 20 up there around Dutchtown, it's just like every alley is just, the illegal dumping is just out of control. Like I say, we do the best we can. I can't speak on Will's behalf. I'm not sure how his operation, is hurting as far as manpower, but I know our bulky operation, we're at least 12 utility workers short right now.
Okay.
So that's 6 crews right there.
So so are you all struggling to get the staff, or are you struggling for personnel to get you the applications, or where do you see the breakdown is?
Yeah, we're struggling to get the staff. We ask for lists all the time. A lot of the lists we get are, you just have a name or two on them. Most of them don't work out.
Okay, all right. Okay, does anybody else, we can go down the line. Alderman Vaccaro, do you have any questions?
No, other than Randy, on the regular refuge, how many drivers are we short still?
Oh my gosh. We have about 69 positions, and we're lucky if we get 40 drivers to come in a day. We're probably at least 20 drivers short. I'm not exactly sure offhand, but it's probably close to that number.
And I know this weekend, and to catch up, they just put the bulk and the regular trash together and just picked it all up.
The recycling and the trash, yeah.
Right.
Just doing that just to try to catch up, that's all.
Well, and then a lot of the recycling, or is that changed, isn't making it to the, because the recycle doesn't pay. It seems like unless it's changed, what percent of the recycles actually being recycled? I know it was pretty low.
I would say maybe 30%.
You think that much? That's probably
About 50% of the stuff we collect gets pushed right into the landfill pile right away because it's so contaminated, and then another 19 or 20% that goes to the MRF, they reject that too. So it's probably about 30% that actually makes it to the, gets recycled.
Okay. Well, no, Randy, thank you. And I know everybody here, but thinks the same way. But first off, you should be the commissioner. Secondly, thank you so much. I mean, I know I call you like at least daily or every other day, and you're right on top of everything. I appreciate it. So,
thanks, Alderman.
thank you, Madam Chair. I will mute myself here.
Okay, thank you. Alderwoman Martin.
Aye. No questions at this time. Thank you.
Okay. The next one is Alderwoman Navarro.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you, Randy. Thanks for everything that you do. And I know every day it's a struggle just to get just to keep up. And I know that's even difficult, especially lately. I know you've already answered lots of questions and ways and means and streets and everything. I just have one question just to make sure that I understand, like with this the debris cleanup for residents, when they go in to CSB, they just go in and record that they've got debris, whether it's on a vacant lot or alley or something like that. And then it gets sorted out, whether it goes to you or to streets, right? Like we don't need to be training people who to call about when they see a bunch of illegal dumping on a vacant lot or something. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that all gets routed in that way. So we don't need to be doing anything differently on our end. You all are figuring out who needs to go where.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you
I'm
again.
assuming most of them probably go to streets, most of the CSBs, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Well,
I don't have any other questions.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Jesse Todd.
Thank you, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Parks Committee, and thank you, Randy. My question, first of all, is what is the starting salary for the drivers and you have drivers and people who just assist the driver? What is the procedure? I mean, what is the staff? What does the staff consist of?
Well, as far as the drivers that collect the alley dumpsters and carts, those are heavy equipment operator 2s. And as far as my bulk operation goes, those are heavy equipment operator 1 and utility workers.
And what is the starting salary for both? What are the starting salaries for both of those?
Not sure about HEO 1s and utility workers, but I know my HEO 2s, it's not very much. I think it's a little over $16 an hour.
Okay. The other question is, are these working full-time or part-time?
Full-time.
Do they get full-time benefits from the city?
Yes, sir.
Is there are there challenges with the bureaucracy, meaning civil service, where they have to take a test and are rejected because they didn't pass the test? Our background checks, are there any technicalities? Let's say like a person has a holy.
Yeah, I hardly get any that fail the pre-employment screening. I just get maybe one or two that fail that.
When you say 1 or 2, and what criteria do you have for a person who is and I'm not trying to minimize, let me make this crystal clear. I wish there were more workers who were serving the citizens rather than sitting behind desks, in many cases duplicate, passing work to each other to make the 8 hours. And but my question is, you said very few. To me, one is one too many unless they present a danger to the staff, to the residents, because they live in the city. They are out. My question is, are they rejected by you because of the police records? Do you determine who is hired and who is not hired?
No, most of them pass their background check, and like I say, just every once in a while we'll get one that fails their drug screening.
Okay.
Majority of them, though, they apply for the job, but they just can't do it. So they don't pass their working test period. And then
Okay.
we also get a lot of old, recycled drivers that we've had there before.
So when you say recycle, it's those that quit and come back and
or they got fired and come back. Yeah.
Okay, or terminated or quit or something, you get recycled. But so it's not most people. The reason I'm asking, because what I'm gonna do is advertise that workers are needed. Once I advertise, can I come to you directly?
Absolutely, yes, that would be great.
Okay, I'm gonna be beating on the doors today because the last question is, when you're in the alley, I just want clarification. I think I understand it, but I don't want to assume anything. When you're in the alley, just drive. You say you just go out on different routes, so it's not like if the residents in the ward that I represent call, you just go out and pick up. Is that correct?
Yeah, we try to stick with our scheduled routes. If I start jumping around, that's just going to cause major confusion for us. So we got about 5 bulk routes north and 5 bulk routes south every day that we have to do.
I think that's a very good system. Let me commend you on that, because I think and when you see things, you say the street department has the equipment to pick up some things that you don't. Do you call them when you see those items that need picking up?
Yes, my bulk foreman and Mr. Young, who runs the debris program, they pretty much work side by side on that. Definitely. I mean, we usually go and check the alley first, and if it's something we can handle, we'll get it. If not, then we have to refer it to them.
So the reason I asked is because the neighborhood improvement specialist and myself spent a lot of time. We made over 200, more than 200 calls in one area. What I mean by area is that we have had a neighborhood broken into 7 different areas, but the point I'm getting at is you would call those in anyway. Am I correct? I mean, it's not an additional burden when you see it and just call it to the street department. Is that the procedure you use when you don't have equipment to get it up?
Yeah, but like I said, if it's stuff that looks like it's going to take a bunch of guys with shovels, I'll call the street department on those, because they can just get a big front loader over there and scoop it up in one scoop.
Okay, last question. This is just something different. Have you ever thought about youth workers? What is the youngest age you have people?
Oh gosh, I guess I would guess
It
16.
probably would have to be 18 and up because of the legal liabilities, Jesse, of insurance. So they couldn't hire anybody younger because they wouldn't fit under the city's insurance.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do hire. Okay, then. Last question: if a person is 18 or above, you said all of your jobs are full time, so I don't want to be repetitive. Thank you so much, Randy, for the information, and thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee.
Thank you, Jesse. Those are great questions. Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And thank you, Randy. I cannot thank you enough, and whoever this bulk foreman is. I'm not sure if I've met or talked to him yet, but you all have just been amazing, for myself and the neighborhood improvement specialist here in the 26th Ward, Kamika Johnson. I don't know what we would do without you all. And I want you to know that we don't take you for granted every time you answer our emails and our calls. What I wanted to see if you could do this morning for people that are listening, is explain the camera program, because I know sometimes we have constituents that'll call and just say, put the camera in our alley, and we do have excessive dumping in the 26th Ward. We know it's so close to the edge of the city limits. And I think they just pull up, drop right there in those alleys off of Hodiamon and some come down the Grayway, the Hodiamont track and things like that. But when we have constituents that say just move the camera, can you explain that camera program, how it works, how many we have in the city, and what the process is to get them moved?
Yeah, so I think we have like around 200 and 215 cameras, something like that. So basically, if I get a request from somebody for a camera, I mean, we just don't go put one up. I'll have my foreman go out there, or they're so familiar with their route. I pretty much ask them, do you think this alley warrants a camera? And if they say yes, it's major legal dumping, then I'll get a hold of the environmental investigation unit and ask them to put a camera up. If my foreman says no, it's not that bad, then we don't put one up.
How are they spread through the city? Like each ward has so many, or does it go by the?
Yep, they're all over the place. I got a list where every camera is.
And when you put it up, about how long does it stay up?
It just depends. It just depends. We got a place up on what the street it was. But I mean, they're just constantly dumping tires up there. Even after we bust them, I mean, more people will come in. I guess it's just a great place to dump tires. So, that camera's been up there for a while, but we keep busting people.
Okay. And then the other question I had, we have constituents that had heard of it, and I had heard of it before too, but I just don't know the details on it. Is there some kind of incentive for reporting people that you see dumping, either license plates or if you see them dumping? Is there some kind of incentive that you get, and is that a report to you or a report to the police department?
I'm sure most of that goes through CSB, but yeah, anytime I get anything, a license plate is the best. That's the best way. Or if a resident actually sees it and is willing to be a witness. But other than that, if there's no license plate, what I'll do is just ask my drivers. I'll describe it's a red pickup truck. If you see anybody driving around looks suspicious, get a hold of me. So
I was asking, like, some people think there's a stipend, like money
Right.
or something that you get for.
It is.
Yeah,
It is. It is.
Oh, okay.
And the EIU unit handles that, and they're going to be a guest at our meeting. Yeah. So ironically, they have increased the revenue for the EIU, and it used to be called Trash Task Force. And so Randy works close with them. And so if it's heavy dumping reported, he works with them and they start monitoring those alleys. And so that's $100 stipend for every time they convict somebody of the crime. And they said they have had an increase of people reporting the dumping because they're actually getting paid to do that reporting.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they also, when they arrest people, not only do they get a fine, but I know I've had some of them do, cleanups in areas where we couldn't really get our big equipment in. I think there was a area up in O'Fallon Park that we found that was just loaded with tires, but there was no way we could get our big equipment back there. So I got a hold of them, and they utilized some of the people that they arrested to do community service and clean all that stuff up. So we use them also.
Yeah, we've used them in community cleanups as well. And the last question I have, maybe on a proactive side of this, isn't there, or if you can explain about, is there an amnesty day for bulk for dumping in the city that residents need to know about, that maybe where they won't dump in other areas if they knew that they could take it to the city dump, or is that not a program anymore?
No, they can use the city dump up to 12 times a year. Every city resident, they can use it 12 times this month, or they can use it once every month. They just get 12 dumps a month or a year. I'm sorry.
And they just pull it up to, what's the address of that?
We have a drop off site at 201 North Humboldt Street on the north side, and then the south side is at 4100 South First Street. All they got to do is, best thing to do is just bring your trash bill with you, or some sort of ID. It shows you live in the city. That's all we ask for.
Okay, and what are the hours?
We're open 7 days a week, 9 to 4.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you again, Randy, for everything. And I appreciate all that you all do.
You're welcome, Alderwoman.
Randy, or Madam Chair, can I ask something real quick, just for
Wait
clarity?
a minute, Joe. Is that it, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard? Was that
Yes,
all?
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Joe.
So Randy, she was bringing up hours. Has that changed any? I know it's 3 10-hour shifts if they finish, I'm sorry, 4 10-hour shifts. If they finish their shift early, they can go home, or if they go back out, it's overtime. Like if they finish their shift in 5 hours, they still get paid the 10, and then
That's how it
I don't
works.
know if that changed or not. So if they finish their route by, say, noon, they have the choice of going out, or if they go back out, they get time and a half during that same 10-hour shift.
That's correct, right. They're on an incentive program, so they get, this is just for my alley drivers, they get paid their 10 hours if it takes them 12 hours, if it takes them 5 hours, whatever. But majority of them can get the route done, and then thank God a lot of them volunteer to go back out and do, we call them payloads is what we call those, where they get time and a half.
They go back out. So
There's pretty much no 4 10-hour. I mean, we work every day now.
oh no, I know
Every
that.
day.
I know that. But I didn't know if that was still the same, or if new drivers coming on or under a different incentive program, or.
Yeah, this is pretty much just for our guys that, were kind of locked in when that program was in place. Yeah, we stopped new hires. We stopped doing that a while ago. It's just pretty much for the veterans that've been here, when the program was in place.
Okay. I just, when she was asking about hours, I didn't know. It just brought that up in my mind, whether or not there's been a change, on how they do that. So I'm going to mute myself back again.
Okay, Alderwoman Peel. Did you have questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And nice to meet you, Randy.
You too. Nice to meet you.
And I know this is a big issue. A lot of my questions were answered. Alderman Todd, I think that's a great idea, trying to go out and recruit staff. I like your incentive program that you just mentioned, Randy. Is that something, it sounds like you have with the incentive program, you're not expanding that to new drivers.
No, we stopped that a while ago, but we couldn't take it away from drivers that had it when they started.
Do you think if that was added again, it would help in terms of maybe even motivating new employees to come and get, even motivating, like recruiting people, like?
Well, I'm sure it would. I mean, an incentive program, I'm sure it would.
What was the reason that it needed to be just grandfathered in or stop?
Well, this was back in the day when we had plenty of trucks and we had plenty of drivers. So, guys were getting done so early and going home. So that's kind of when we decided any new hires are not going to be on the incentive program. But like I said, that was back when times were good. We had plenty of employees, plenty of trucks.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that information. This was really helpful.
Yep.
No more questions.
Okay, thank you.
Just so I can clarify, as far as our trash collection routes, we have 55 routes that we have to do every day. That's pretty much what we have. So if I don't have 55 drivers every day, then we're hurting.
So on the average, on a daily average, how many are you short?
Like I said, if we get 40 drivers to come in a day, that's a good day.
Okay, okay. And so you need how many daily?
55 routes. I need 55 drivers. That's for my collection, the dumpsters and the carts. As far as my bulky operation, we run about 10 routes a day.
Okay, all right. I see Alderwoman Evans, she had her hand up, and then Alderman Gunther can go after her. Alderwoman Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members and Mr. Bridenfeld. You answered some of the questions that I was going to ask, but I have a concern. Tires have been dumped in my alley. And this was a couple of days ago, and I had my secretary call to let you know of that. How soon do you send someone out to pick up bulk items like that, like tires and so forth?
Well, when we were fully staffed, we could jump around, but like I say, we're so short now. I kind of like to just stick with my scheduled routes. So, I mean,
okay,
unless
I'm
it's
on the north
something
side. I'm in the 4th ward.
yeah, I would have to look at my route map. I'm not exactly sure when we're in there. But we try to keep with our schedule these days.
So Gwen, do you know your bulk pickup week? If it's first, second, third, fourth, you know which week is your bulk pickup?
I have no idea because I so
Okay.
seldom
I can send you an email with the bulk map
put
and
out bulk
boundaries if you
items.
like.
I'm not sure.
So he'll send you, so would you send that to all the committee members of the bulk pickup? So he'll send you the schedule of your area when the bulk pickups are, and it'll help too with your residents, because a lot of them, and what I found is Randy and them would have did the bulk pickup, and then residents, now my residents are calling and say, Alderwoman, they just went through and picked up stuff and they dumped again. So they know that the trucks were there, but some people don't know when the bulk pickup is, because we got people that'll put it out. But say if it's the third week, they'll put it out the first week and it'll sit there. So then other people start dumping. So usually I have Randy send a letter to that person's house to say your bulk pickup is this day. So it helps when your neighborhood improvement specialist and you know when they are, so you can kind of educate
Okay.
the residents. Yeah. So he'll send that out
Yeah.
to us, Alderwoman Evans.
Yep, that's a big problem. You hit it on the head. I mean, we'll go through the alley and then within a week, or people forget it's their bulk pickup and they throw stuff out after we already been through there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
So when,
okay, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, any other questions? Go ahead.
yes. So when you catch people that are dumping tires, what fines or assessments or penalties are you assess them?
They give them a summons, and I think it's a $500 fine if I remember right.
He right.
Yep.
And I'm speaking on it because,
$500.
yeah, we had a task force that, and Randy was a part of it, that we created a bill for that Alderwoman Evans. And we just working on the perfection of it. And so we're trying to arm the EIU unit with the capability, because they didn't have the capability to, like Randy said, to give summons and fine people. And so now we're giving them that capability. And so it's interesting how this tire thing go. It has become a business where they actually bring U-Haul trucks, go to the tire shops. The tire shops give them the tires to dispose of. They take out the good tires, and then they dump the tires that they don't think they can resell into our community. And that's what EIU is catching. So we kind of arm them, and we work with Department of Natural Resources, Randy, and the Health Department.
Right.
And they helped me create a bill to start addressing that. Because Randy in one ward, they had got like a tractor trailer full of tires when they went through just picking up tires. So it's an issue, and it's an environmental issue because of the mosquitoes and the water, and so they've been becoming more aggressive with these tire dumpers. So that's a good question.
We work pretty close with MDNR on the tire deal too.
Yeah.
One more question. I asked to have a camera installed in my alley. And I know you said you have about 215 cameras. How soon can a camera be placed in that alley?
Pretty quickly. I mean, as long as they're available. Yeah, I mean, we could usually get them up within a week or so.
Okay, and but your question was as long as they are available. How do you know what's available and what's not?
Well, I mean, we can see all the cameras are solar powered, so we can just move them wherever we want. So if there's an area that's not getting a lot of action, we'll just take it from there and put it in another alley. That's pretty much how they work. All the cameras are out there.
I'd appreciate that because I did ask move them. Okay. Well, I hope my alley gets a camera soon.
Yeah, what is your alley? Let me write
Okay.
that down real quick. What is your alley?
Okay, it's 4,500 through 4,600 on between Ashland and Elm Bank. It's the alley between those two streets.
What street is it?
Elm Bank,
Okay.
Okay.
between Ashland and Elm Bank. It's
Yeah.
the alley
Yes, if you say it's
between
bad,
those two
if you say it's
streets.
bad, I trust you. I'll get a camera over there for you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Any other questions?
I'm finished, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Mhm.
Alderman Gunther?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thanks for being here, Randy. Yeah, like everyone, I really appreciate the work you do. I know I contact you often, as I'm sure everyone else does, and you are always right on top of it. So I really do appreciate your hard work. So just a couple questions. One, we're talking about cameras. I was looking through the last update I received about where cameras are located in my ward. It's been a couple years. And since they do move around quite a bit, like you mentioned, I was wondering if you could possibly send either all of us or just send me a list of where the alley cameras are located in our wards. I know that I have a couple locations that are persistent dumping spots that I've requested alley cameras in, but I'm not sure if they're there yet or not because they're kind of little stealth boxes and it's hard to tell where the camera is. So if you could do that, that would be great. I'd be able to figure out where exactly the cameras are in my ward. The second question.
They don't like to make that list public, but I can text you the locations in your ward if that'll work.
Could I have it also? For Ward 4?
Can I have it also? Can I have it also, Ward 18?
Just the location of where your cameras are?
Yeah, Ward 18 would like to know the locations where the cameras are.
Yeah, I could text that to you, but like I say, they really don't want that list to become public, you know, because then that kind of defeats the whole purpose.
I won't make it public. I will give you my cell phone.
I'd appreciate that.
Let me give you my cell phone number, 277-4053. That's 277-4053, so you can text it directly to me, and I will keep it secret. But I do need to know and check it out so that if it needs moving, I can move it.
Okay, no problem.
Randy, do I need to give you mine as well?
Yes,
My phone number as well?
yes, that would work.
712 2193.
You broke up there. 712. What was the other digits?
2193.
Got it.
Dan, do you want to give them yours?
Oh, he has mine.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
Dan's.
All right. Any other questions, Alderman Gunther? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I knew that was going to open up a can of worms there, but like I said, it's been probably 2 to 3 years since the last time I had an update. So I understand they don't want it public. I don't want it public either, but I do want to be able to check the alleys where they are. So thank you, Randy. The other question I had, you mentioned earlier about hiring. You said that most people come through personnel, but a few end up not passing a test once they get to refuse. So what exactly test would that be? Because it seems like they'll obviously have their CDL already. So going through personnel would just be a drug test. But what other test is it possible that they could fail?
Well, the CDL is a big thing. We'll take them and we'll give them 6 months to get their CDL. That's pretty much the length of the working test period.
Okay.
Some of them that we don't hire is because they don't get their CDL within the 6 months.
Okay, gotcha.
The other ones, they just can't cut it. So we
Gotcha.
fail
Okay.
the working test period.
Yeah, I was under the impression they had to have the CDL before they were hired, but you give them a grace period to get the CDL.
Yes, right. We do that now
Okay.
just because we're so desperate.
Okay, wonderful. And then my final question, and again, I thank you, Madam Chairwoman, for letting me ask, but my final question is about EIU. I felt like we had a really active and kind of robust trash task force / EIU. Have you noticed over maybe the last 6 months of, since I think there's a new commander through EIU, have you noticed less reporting or less cooperation with them? Because like I said, about 6 months ago when they changed commanders, every time I had an illegal dumping, I can directly call the officer. They respond. We kind of had real-time service. Now I get sent into calling the non-emergency number, and I get transferred around to about 3 different offices before I have to leave a message somewhere. And so it doesn't really seem like the EIU is quite where it was months ago. Have you noticed a change in EIU?
I just basically deal with two people, and that's Lieutenant McAtee and Detective Zermulin, and they've been great. I mean, they pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, Alderman Gunther, they're going to be invited to our committee meeting because the frustration I have first, they made a change, and I did talk to Hayden about it. They made a change and no other people knew about it.
Correct.
And they didn't introduce themselves to the older people. So we're inviting them to the meeting, and it has been a change. I think it was a very eye-opening experience for those officers that took that over, because I don't think they knew the work that Singh and Caliber were doing. And they don't know the multitude of how they improved the whole EIU unit. So I'm gonna have them come to explain, the change, what their goals are, how they improve communication, and how they're gonna get us back to where we were.
I appreciate that, Alderwoman Boyd, because as you said, Officer Singh and Calabro had their cell phone numbers. When there was a problem, they were right on it. And since that change, I get sent around to voicemails, and I'm sure everyone else has too. So thank you for bringing them in for questioning at one of our later meetings. That's all I have. Thank you very much. Thanks again, Randy.
Okay. Did anybody else, I see other people, did any of you have any questions for Randy? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Randy, very much. As usual, you were very cordial and you gave us a lot of good information. And we look forward to working with you and also to assist you in any way we can to help you get some staff.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker that we have is Maurice, and he's environmental. He has been very instrumental to helping me to continue with the passion that I have. And I want to publicly thank Alderwoman Navarro, because ironically, she introduced me to him, and I didn't even know this department existed in the city. So I'm asking Maurice, we were trying to get clarity, and we thought we need to do a resolution. Then we found out we need to do a bill. So him and I and Alderwoman Navarro are trying to work on a bill to address environmental issues within our city. And so he's going to kind of speak on it for a few minutes. And if you all have any questions, you're welcome to ask questions. If you want to participate and work with us on this bill, we would love to have you at the table. Trust me, we are not trying to separate anybody. So Maurice, you want to introduce yourself and explain what we're trying to do?
Yes, thank you, Alderwoman Boyd, for having me here today. So my name is Maurice Mouye. I'm the climate advisor for the city of St. Louis, and I've been working with Alderwoman Boyd, Alderwoman Navarro, and a number of issues surrounding environmental and sustainability for the city of St. Louis. So we started out with crafting a resolution, but as we've seen, it's going to be needed that we craft a board bill. And what I've heard today from Randy, and I really want to thank Randy for the work that he's done, because I know Refuse has a hard job. Before COVID, so sometime in 2019, I went on a ride with one of the Refuse guys. I had to meet them at 5 o'clock in the morning. We left at around 5:45. And we went on a recycling run that morning. And I can attest to what Randy said, that most of the recycling, unfortunately, goes to trash when it's tipped at the facility, the waste management facility. So I can attest to that. But I would like to say, as we move forward in how we craft this board bill, what I heard from Randy and all, Alderman Todd and everyone else was that there needs to be a way to attack this where we can all be successful. And one of the things that came up in my mind, so while Randy was speaking, I looked to see if there was a tire scrap facility in the city, or at least in the county. And from what I can see from Missouri DNR, there is not. Well, there's one in, Washington, Missouri is not in the county. So from what I could see from Missouri DNR, there's not a tire scrap facility in close proximity to the city of St. Louis. So I think one of the things we need to look at in this board bill is not just how do we report people that are dumping, but how do we get them before they even consider dumping? I listened, to Alderwoman Boyd saying that, it's become a business to do this, right? People are spending money to rent a truck to dump tires. So that means that somebody's making money from dumping tires, right? So how do we stop them from dumping tires? So one of the things I was thinking about was maybe there's a way maybe there's a grant, for example, with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources to have a tire scrap facility either in the city proper or close to the city border, right? Where a concentration of dumping is taking place. And also, we might need to pay people to scrap their tires. Because if we're paying somebody in an officer in EIU to investigate, if we're paying people in the city to investigate, if we're paying money to buy and maintain these cameras, we should do that, but maybe some of those monies could be spent maybe you could use some of those monies to be spent to pay people to dispose of the tires properly, right? Because obviously, as Randy said, they're allowed 12 dumps per year. And obviously, the people that are dumping tires are not utilizing that agreement that the city, I'm sure, has, and the county has with waste management to allow that for residents. So these are things that I think these and other things are things that I think this board bill, this proposed board bill that we would need to write, should essentially do and would essentially have to be in the fiscal note, right? So I know we're kind of short on time, so I just wanted to kind of focus on what the topic was today, because I heard a lot of good information, and I'm willing to help everybody come up with, you know, solutions to not only reduce the amount of dumping, but, you know, incentivize people in a way to dispose of tires properly and even find any uses for these tires. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Maurice. Anybody have any questions for me, Maurice, Alderman Pacoro?
Well, here's the thing. So when a auto repair shop changes tires on a car, they charge the customers $2 a tire.
Right.
And they are supposed to properly dispose of those tires by calling someone like tire shredders. So you figure on an average car, you know, a station might accumulate, you know, 50 or 100 tires in a month without even a problem, and some way more than that. What happens is it becomes cheaper for them to pay somebody $50 to dump them all, rather than pay the proper people like tire shredders or someone to come get them. What needs to happen is we need to figure out a way to strengthen the bill in a way that auto repair shops have to be accountable for every tire that they buy. So if they buy 100 tires, they should have 100, you know, tires to turn in.
Turned in, like a core example, like
Right.
a core type
Well,
program.
because they charge that. They charge $2 now for every tire, because I know I was in that business.
Right.
And there's a proper way to dispose of that. There's a proper way to dispose of used waste oil, but
Right.
It's also a lot of these guys will accumulate 100 tires, which means they've made $400 that they've collected. And it's cheaper to get somebody for 50 or $100 to go dump them in somebody's lot.
Right.
So it isn't, I don't think it's the average person saying, I just changed my tires on my car and I'm going to now go dump the tires somewhere. You know, because most people, if they do that themselves, first off, they don't have the equipment to mount and unmount a tire. So if the tires are being thrown somewhere, they've been to a shop. Nobody has the capability in their house, in their home, to unmount a tire. So the people doing the illegal dumping are auto repair shops that are charging people to, you know, for the core on it. What we need to do is somehow in this bill that you're talking about writing is where a service station, if you buy 100 tires, and you should make them register every time they buy a tire, you know, because it's not that hard. You know, that every time you buy a tire, you should have a tire that you're disposing. And if you buy 100 tires, but you've never disposed of a tire, that's who's dumping the tires. So, I mean, one of the things you can do in this board bill would be to hold service stations accountable by saying you have to register every time you buy a tire. Like if you buy, you know, you need to log in when you buy a tire. The same when you buy gas, you have to do that anyway. You log in when you buy tires. If we bought 28 tires today, log it in on the vehicles they went on, you should have the same amount going out. That's the only way you're going to stop it. There's no individual unmounting a tire in their backyard. It's impossible. So, you know, these are auto repair shops that are finding it very profitable. You figure that when you see those tires dumped, if there's 50 tires and they collected $2 a tire, it becomes profitable for them to throw them out in the field. You know, and it's not the big shops, like, you know, it's the little small mom and pop shops that say, hey, you know what, I could dump these tires. So if you want my input on writing a bill, it has to be targeting auto repair shops and how tires are disposed of. There is a giant fine if you're caught disposing of them illegal. But when we did it, we logged the tires, and when tire shredders picked them up, they logged how many tires they picked up. There are companies for proper disposal. So maybe we need to, well, we got to hold them accountable, but maybe we have someone in enforcement checking these logs to see if anybody's even doing it anymore. You're supposed to log the tires anyway. So, I mean,
Right.
those are the ones doing the illegal dumping. I don't know how we hold county stations accountable. If it's someone over in Jennings or somewhere that's doing the illegal dumping in the city, I don't know how we hold them accountable, but we can hold city auto repair shops accountable. It's not going to be the answer to the question, because you're not going to stop, you know, in smaller outside communities. But anyway, but that's just my opinion. You know, we can allow all the dumping we want. You got to have a driver's license, and you get the dumpings. But again, it's not the individuals doing the dumping. It's auto repair. It's companies doing that dumping. But it's just an opinion.
Okay, anything else?
No, that was it.
Thank you, Alderman Vaccaro.
Thank you. So, Alderwoman Martin, she had to leave. Alderwoman Navarro.
Good morning, Maurice. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'm grateful somebody's spending some time digging into this issue. I think that's really important. I don't have any questions. I would just, and maybe you're already doing this, but I would just encourage us to also think about, you know, solutions besides legislation. Legislation isn't always the best way, and it's definitely not the only way to address problems. And it can sometimes create other issues, especially if it requires enforcement. So there may be a variety, you know, and I think as Alderman Vaccaro pointed out, you know, some of this might be coming from county sources, and our legislation isn't going to have any jurisdiction necessarily over what's going on there if it's something that needs to be taken care of at the source. So I appreciate that we're looking into this, and I think that there might be a variety of solutions to this problem, and it may not necessarily be legislation. So I just wouldn't want us to get too locked into finding a way to legislate our way out of this, because the solution may be something else, such as, you know, working with a state department, one of the departments in the state, you know, or maybe there is some incentive project, or maybe it's a rule or a regulation. I mean, I have no idea, but I think that I just wouldn't want us to get locked into trying to find a piece of legislation when there may be a different solution. So thank you.
I probably can send the committee, the board, the entire bill that we have, and you could probably look at that, and we could take from there to see how we could start looking at enforcement. So I can make sure you all get that. Anything else, Alderwoman Navarro?
No, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Jesse Todd.
No, thank you. No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. See what the
No,
oh.
no, thank you. Thank you so much. No.
Alderwoman Peel.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I see Alderwoman Evans is up. She had a question. So you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Alderman Vaccaro. There ought to be a way, just like a car has a VIN number, there ought to be numbers associated with certain businesses that buy these tires, when these tires are shipped to this business, there should be some type of number that's stamped in the tire, on the tire somewhere, so that we know that this tire belonged to this business. I'm looking at these tires out here in the back of my alley, and how do you differentiate where these tires came from? You can't. And if there was some way that when people buy tires, their business number or something should be stamped in these on these tires somewhere, so that and when they sell them, it goes to that individual and so forth. But there's a way that you ought to be able to track these tires. And I know it's a lot of tires because there's a lot of cars out here. But my thing is, how do you get a handle on the tire dumping? How can you trace it back to whomever if there's no numbers on them to say, oh, okay, this tire came from this tire company that's on Natural Bridge? There needs to be something that will show where these tires came from. And you ought to be able to track them some kind of way. And if that's done, then maybe the illegal dumping will stop.
It might slow it down.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
It probably slow it down, but in the conversation we had when we were creating the tire bill, that's what we were trying to figure out. And that's where, as Alderman Gunther was saying, we had Joe Calabro and Detective Singh at the table, and they were looking at how we could label who had tires. And so they had started looking into that, and then they got pulled. So that was a topic of conversation, and you were right, it would be cumbersome, but we had Department of Natural Resources at the table, and they were trying to help us to come up with a solution on how to put a stamp on each tire for that company. So that was part of the conversation. So that's a great idea, you know.
I hope it materializes.
Thank
you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Did any other alderman that's not on the committee have any questions? Okay. All right. Thank you, Maurice. Did you want to make any last remarks?
No, that's it. No, that's it. Thank you, Alderwoman Boyd. If anyone has any questions, they could contact me on my city email, which is muiam@stlouis-mo.gov. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any announcements?
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just didn't. I had a question. What department are you in, Maurice?
Planning and urban design with Donroe, under Donroe.
Oh, you're with. Okay, you're planning and urban design.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. Do we have any announcements? Excuse alderwomen and aldermen. Alderwoman Sharon Ty is still asked to be excused. And does anybody have any last words, comments? Okay, on that note, I'll make a motion to call the meeting, adjourn the meeting. All right, we have a second. Any objections? Okay, thank you all very much.